Lee Camp.
Hey, man. I love it. I love the music. I didn't know you had the Abu Ghraib tapes. I didn't know you had the leaked torture music. I'm getting ready to join you on the in the demonetized world. I've got my first full-on strike against my YouTube channel.
Yes, congratulations, Lee Camp. Copyright strike.
And mine was for cyberbullying.
Yeah, tell us who you were cyberbullying. That you sent me this text, and I literally was like, okay.
It was a video from like I don't know, a year ago, maybe a little less, but I think a year ago, talking about the connections, and some of these were covered in like mainstream outlets, but the connections between Bloomberg and Epstein, Michael Bloomberg and Epstein. And there's like photos of them together. And so of course they had connections, but yeah, that was pulled down and they said it was cyberbullying. So either I'm bullying a dead rapist sex trafficker, or I'm apparently bullying a multi-billionaire who's going to have a real tough time getting over this, getting over my accusations. I think, he's going to be in his yacht, inside his other yacht, crying about what I've said.
Can we stop bullying billionaires, Lee? Can it stop? Just stop. This billionaire that did stop and frisk and ruin people's lives and hung out with pedophiles and sex traffickers. Can we just stop hurting him? He's a human being too. No, he's not. Yeah. Cyberbullying a billionaire with known ties to one of the most notorious pedophiles the world has ever known. Yeah.
I should have learned my lesson after you covered the topic and they shut you down. So,
I mean, yeah, I got my demonetization was for a lot of things, but I got a video pulled down for medical misinformation, just reading stories saying it's not, other organizations and journalists saying it's not good that Bill Gates won't release the COVID vaccine patent to poor countries. I just repeated that information.
Yeah, that was covered in some mainstream outlets as well. That was not some sort of hidden thing. That was out there very clearly.
I didn't give any medical misinformation. I didn't say, oh, the vaccine doesn't work. I didn't say any crazy. I said the vaccine works and these poor countries could use it, and he's denying it. And that was the medical misinformation I was supposedly giving.
Well, clearly the problem is that both of us have said mean things to billionaires.
Yes, and it's got to stop, Lee Camp.
It does. Bill Gates is, he's struggling right now.
He's having a hard time. Him and Elon Musk, they're having a hard time.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Government Secrets, and it's confirmed, episode 47.
I'm pretty sure you've said that for the past 4 weeks. Episode 47.
Eventually, I'm going to be right.
We've been stuck on 47.
It is a lot to ask both of us to just go back to the previous episode and see what number it was and then add one. It's a lot to do.
Listen, I'll research the corrupt origins of the fucking drug war till my eyes bleed, but I'm not looking up the goddamn episode number. All right? No, fuck impossible. You. What do you think I am? I have people do that for me. And they don't normally do it for me, so therefore I don't know the number.
You can't expect me after pointing through Freedom of Information Act documents to count. I mean, that's just not something I can do.
So how do you feel this week losing our Lord and Savior, Donald Rumsfeld?
Oh, double Dutch Donnie Rumsfeld. Well, I think he's going to find right now. He's learning what the known unknown really is, isn't he? Yeah. So this is our first segment. Is I thought in honor of war criminal Don Rumsfeld, we could talk about some of the evil shit that he's done.
Yeah, I mean he's a top tier. He's an Hall of Famer.
He is. He's in the warmonger Government Secrets Hall of Fame. Yeah. And Where do you begin? I typed in yesterday because I was like, I want to cover, and it's just there's a treasure trove of Rumsfeldian lies and cover-ups.
As the New York Times put it, because they basically tried to make him sound like a hero, even though they did mention that the Iraq War was a disaster. But they said he had the distinction of serving as both the youngest defense secretary and then later as the oldest defense secretary when he came back. What a distinction to be a war criminal twice. You know, very few people get to have that go around twice as a war criminal. So,
yeah, under two prestigious presidencies of Nixon and George W. Bush. I mean, really?
I think it was Ford, but
oh, who gives a shit? I mean, some Warren Commission tool. Who cares? Whatever. I mean,
it was a cunt, but it was. We just listen. We got to get them. We got to get them straight here. We can't.
Yeah, I just whatever failed parasite warmongering clown that has embarrassed the White House since they killed Kennedy. Yeah, sure. One of those guys. Donald Rumsfeld, former defense secretary and accused war criminal, dead at 88.
Which one's that from? That's from Teen Vogue. Teen Vogue, we talked about this before. They actually do some good shit. But the best headline from my former employer, The Onion, was weapon of mass destruction found, dead at 88.
God bless The Onion. They are doing the Lord's work. So 10 months before September 11, which we are coming up on the 20-year anniversary, Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld approved an updated version of the U.S. Army's secret operational continuity of government plan. This is weird. A draft document published by the whistleblowing website WikiLeaks entitled Army Regulation 500-3 Emergency Employment of Army and Other Resources, Army Continuity of Operations Program, dated January 19, 2001, spells out changes in Army doctrine. This is a pretty, I don't know. It's a lot of what a lot of people use as they consider it a smoking gun in terms of like, was 9/11 planned? I don't know about that, but maybe I will. Yeah, they knew something was going to happen.
Yeah, I go with the they knew something was happening kind of theory on it. A few things about this. One is I think they said 10 months before, 9 months before, meaning basically he approved this when they got into office, when he and Bush took office, which is not cool, but it's also, it's not like it was done a week before 9/11. Like, I don't know. It sounds to me like he was looking to alter the way the Pentagon worked. This is not denying he's a fuckface, but like he was doing that. And then the other thing that people, this is the funniest one that I find when people point to the fact that he gave a speech on 9/10, the day before 9/11, to the Pentagon, like had like a all hands on deck meeting, and basically said, and there's a quote actually of the sentence of him saying, I'm at war with the Pentagon. And his point was basically he's at war with the bureaucracy and the unaccountable waste and stuff. And he gave a speech about it. And so people go, Rumsfeld said he was at war with the Pentagon the day before they bombed the Pentagon or the jet hit the Pentagon or whatever. And it's like, okay, first of all, do you think he'd really, if he knew that was going to happen, give a speech the day before being like, hey, just to let you know, I'm about to blast a hole in the Pentagon? It actually, to me, it proves the opposite, that they might have known something was going down, but I don't think he knew what the following day was going to hold if he's giving a speech saying I'm at war with the Pentagon.
Yeah, I subscribe to the theory that it was kind of like the theories of FDR and Pearl Harbor. They thought something was coming. They didn't know what. And they went, well, let's just kind of let it happen. Because if we let it happen, we don't really go like really try to stop it.
Right. And Pearl Harbor, there's a fair amount of evidence that he or maybe overwhelming evidence that they knew basically the attack was coming on Pearl Harbor. And I don't know if they knew how many people were going to die, things like that, but they knew it was coming, and they, I think, found it useful, to get into the war.
Well, yeah, Americans didn't want to get into another war at that point, and FDR knew that this happened. Americans would be like, we were attacked, we have to do this. That's why, there's also this like wacky coincidence of Pearl Harbor where he pulled a lot of the commanding officers out of Pearl Harbor. Yeah, I think and I think this is, look, there was, I forget the name of it, but there was either a survey or that said that we need to have the year prior or earlier in the year in 2001, we need to have a Pearl Harbor style event to justify military spending. Cause let's not forget the peak of global military spending was 1980, like the peak of the Cold War. The lowest it got was the year 2000. And so
the fall of the Soviet Union, basically there was no grand power that the United States needed to be waging war with anymore, even a Cold War. And so they actually did decrease military spending to some degree for a bit.
Yeah. And then there was no need to stockpile, the war at all the bases all over the world that America had. There wasn't a need for any of that. And then, 9/11 happens and here we go. And so that's the thing about this, that is, they knew, like, is this a smoking gun? Like the minute they got in office, they said, we're going to plan 9/11. No, I don't believe that. But they said, we gotta let something happen. We need to find something.
Yeah, we need to. I think they were well aware that these guys were planning something, and they might not. I don't think they knew the day. I don't think they knew the severity. But they had all the plans of what to do immediately afterwards. That was when, and this is kind of one of the most famous things about Rumsfeld, even though his name is not always brought up when people mention it, is when General Wesley Clark, said he went into the Pentagon right after 9/11, and he was talking to higher ups, but not Rumsfeld. And he said, hey, just between you and me, we're going to invade 7 countries in 5 years. And he said, what are you talking about? This didn't come from 7 countries. And they said, yeah, it doesn't matter. We're going to war with Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, and, several others, Syria, I believe. And it all basically happened. It didn't all happen in 5 years, but it all basically happened because they had these plans drawn up. And like you're saying, they needed something to happen to precipitate to some degree their invasion of a variety of countries. And that being said, we don't have to get off on 9/11 for an hour, but one other thing is I have covered that there are a fuckload of questions about Building 7. I will grant people that. I think it was a University of Alaska or a university in Alaska did like a, long-term computer model analysis, and it can't come up with the way that building came down. Like it makes no sense that a fire that burns, but you can't see it from the outside for, whatever it was, 12 hours, 10 hours or something, suddenly causes instantaneous collapse of a building. It doesn't make any sense. So something fucking happened.
Yeah. And what this all points to, getting back to this COG was, let me go back to this. The Bush administration put the COG plans into operation for the first time in U.S. history in the hours directly following the September 11th terrorist attacks, and they have never been rescinded. So that's the thing too about the Patriot Act and all that stuff. Oh, and they kept saying, "Oh, this is temporary. It's just to fight the war on terror." We've been, doing this for 20 years. They just announced today that they're pulling troops out of the Bagram Afghanistan base, and which honestly brought tears to my eyes because I've been to that base 3 different times. And there's a performer.
Meaning you're gonna miss it? Tears because you're gonna miss it?
I don't know. It just brought up. I mean, it literally it just brought up all the emotion of going over there, I think. And there's this tent that all the performers stayed in, and all of our headshots were all up there. And and there's the Pat Tillman Center. I was in Afghanistan in 06 when John McCain reopened up the investigation, and the investigators were on our flight from Frankfurt into Kyrgyzstan and then into Bagram. And I remember talking to them like they were going to reopen the investigation because the family pressured John McCain. And I was like standing in the middle of all this history. And then when I went back there in 07, they built the Pat Tillman Center and at Bagram.
Yeah, we honestly could do an episode on the Pat Tillman bullshit and the amount that they used his death from friendly fire for propaganda purposes.
Yeah, and how his family was like infuriated at it, and so it's really like all this stuff is very much tied together because they all knew something was going to happen and they knew they needed to get in there. And, it's, and this is another thing that's in the WikiLeaks. Since the late 1980s, Rumsfeld was what is this crazy word? Habit-2 of COG exercises along with Vice President Dick Cheney. Indeed, COG drills have been organized by Right-Wing Center for Strategic and International Studies. And investigative journalist Andrew Cochran revealed in his definitive political biography of the former defense secretary, the highly secret program was known as Project 908, and among the individuals earmarked to take power when disaster struck was Donald Rumsfeld. There, for several days, he would be immured in artificial caverns, staring at electric displays, streaming data of disaster and confusion, sleeping on cots, and subsisting of the most austere rations. Insofar as the COG games gave the illusion of reality, they taught Rumsfeld and his fellow players some dangerous lessons, particularly when the fall of the Soviet Union induced some changes in the usual scenarios. Although the exercises continued, still budgeted over $200 million in the Clinton era. The vanished Soviets were now customarily replaced by terrorists. The terrorism envisioned, however, was almost always state-sponsored. Wow, haven't we heard that? The Iran-backed militias have bombed a thing, and that's why Joe Biden had to bomb a thing. So this really, to me, what this shows is how Rumsfeld, I mean, that's what happened when Bush got to office. He just dug up all these old Nixon and Reagan, like evil dinosaurs like Dick Cheney and Rumsfeld, who had literally been planning this in one form or another. Yeah. Again, they weren't like planning 9/11, but like, we just need some big event so we can seize more power and make more money off of war. I mean, Dick Cheney was the guy that privatized everything.
And Bush, people know Bush was essentially a puppet. I mean, it was Cheney and Rumsfeld and a few others that were really controlling things. And Bush was the one that they trot out, and he'd try and sound all folksy and, oh, I'm just a guy you want to have a beer with. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, fucking Dick Cheney's cackling like the Penguin in the Batman movies. So it's like, most people know that, and it was Rumsfeld. I mean, I'm sorry that, when he first died a few days ago, I had all the anger, and now some of it subsided. So I got to remind myself, fuck that guy. He's a fucking war criminal, and our mainstream media doesn't talk about him as if he's a war criminal. You put up a Teen Vogue because weirdly that's where you got to go now for some real shit. It's hilarious. And the New York Times article, which I did a video about, that came out like an hour afterwards. They acted like, oh, it was, you had some nuance in there about how Iraq didn't go well and it hurt his career and stuff. But in general, most of the words used were positive words like distinction. Also, they tried to remind everybody that this was a new era of terror and stuff where people were looking for security and they didn't use these next terms, but Daddy Rumsfeld was there to take care of America. And I mean, it's amazing to watch our mainstream media fawn over these powerful fucking serial murderers.
And what did the Washington Post call Mike Gravel when he died last week? Gadfly.
A gadfly.
A definition of a gadfly is like a fly that gets in the way and annoys things and like, gets in your food or whatever. They're like, so that's the guy that wants to end war and called out the crazy war machine and called out the psycho war criminals in the Democratic Party during the 2008 debates, where he goes, "You people frighten me," referring to Biden, Obama, and Hillary Clinton. He's called the gadfly, but Donald Rumsfeld, who's a fucking war criminal, is like, "Distinction buried to laid to rest at Arlington." Fuck that guy. They should kick his rotten ass body in a goddamn river somewhere and just let maggots eat him.
Or gadflies eat him.
Or gadflies. I think gadflies would be very appropriate.
Yeah. When Mike Gravel, like it's the 1950s, and they're like, "Oh, why that so and so, that gadfly? I can't believe he came in here and interrupted our discussions on how many brown people we're going to kill today. That annoying gadfly."
Gadfly. Yeah, that's a term that's commonly used a lot. You hear gadfly a lot.
That freaking hooligan with his hibbity gibbers always interrupting our meetings while we're pissing into baby skulls.
Pissing into baby skulls. Which is the name of my new comedy album. So yeah, that's, I mean, we could go.
You wanted to sell merch. There's the slogan right there.
Well, we are going to be doing, we could go on for literally, we could do 15 episodes just on Donald Rumsfeld lies. So, you know, I think that's good for this. Before we get into,
not that I'm going to fucking pedestal Robert McNamara, who was defense secretary, and Donald Rumsfeld worked under him, but McNamara was defense secretary during Vietnam. But McNamara, at least in the fog of war and some other places, had some little itty bitty inch of remorse where he was like, "Yeah, it turns out we were wrong, and it turned out we didn't understand." Oh yeah, you've talked about this before, where it seemed like they didn't really understand the country so much. But with Rumsfeld, never once did he at any fucking moment say that, "Oh, maybe 1 million Iraqis died because of his stupid lies." And it has come out that between Dick Cheney and him, those were the two offices that were like telling the CIA, which is not known for being friendly and nice, they were telling them that you know, "Oh, we've found connections between Saddam Hussein and Al-Qaeda," and the CIA is going, "We don't actually see that." And they were like, yeah, you do. Look a little harder, you'll find it.
No, they have no remorse at all, and they will never admit fault. They are sociopaths to their core, just like all of them. Just like the Clinton, she's never going to admit fault unless the only reason the Clintons ever admit fault on something is if they think it's a good strategic move. That's the only time they'll admit fault, is like, "Oh, we might lose some of the black votes, so I'm going to come forward and say, oh, the 94 crime bill was a mistake at the time," and give some sort of like, "Golly gee, we didn't know, you know, we didn't read all the instructions on the box when we got the equipment," you know, like, shut the fuck up.
Or like Bill Clinton saying, "Yes, I did indeed have sexual relations with that woman."
Yeah, it's so yeah, and yeah, you're right. McNamara at least said, man, that's why that movie is called The Fog of Wars. He was just like, "We were trying, we made mistakes." I mean,
although it's easy to argue that is another level of bullshit just to get out of the like, "Oh, we knew what we were doing. We just wanted to massacre civilians to quote unquote stop the Red Menace."
Right. And yeah, and I mean, he has an ounce of credibility in that he was JFK's defense secretary during the Cuban Missile Crisis, and like saw Kennedy trying to like negotiate without the use of force, and the CIA and the generals all wanted Kennedy to invade Cuba and go nuts, and Kennedy kept saying no. So like McNamara at least just has, like you say, just a shred of,
but wasn't McNamara probably the one pushing him to fucking bomb?
Probably was. Another one of these Ivy League psychos that helped ramp up the war in Vietnam, which is why I don't really trust people that have Ivy League degrees. I'll be real clear with you. I just, anytime somebody, and when I see them like in Hollywood, he was in Harvard, he's a smart comedian. No, he's not. I'd never hire him because his fucking silver spoon ass will always get a job somewhere. I will never hire someone
You cannot get into writing. I don't know if it's specifically comedy, but the comedy writing world I mean, maybe it's opened up a little the past like 10 years, but it's like just all Harvard and Yale and Stanford and shit, like writing.
Never hire them. Ever. Never hire them. I will never hire them. I will never hire somebody with an Ivy League degree ever. Unless they like grew up in poverty and had to like work 15 jobs to pay for that degree, then maybe I'd be like, okay, I'll give you a credit. But anyone else, parents paid for it. Fuck you. Nothing. You get nothing from me.
I'm only gonna hire them if we get to haze them first.
Yeah.
Like a spanking machine, you know, that stuff.
Yeah, I do that. If they get in a spanking machine and make them crawl through Jell-O or whatever the thing we're going to make them do, you know what I mean? Tie a rope to their nuts or something like that.
Yeah. Usually something very homoerotic while yelling that you hate queers. You know, you're a queer. I'm going to stick my nuts in your mouth because you're a queer. Look at me because you're gay, which is stupid. So I'm going to put my nuts in your mouth.
I know. That's why I never joined a fraternity. I'm like, well, I don't know that I'm not gay. And if I was gay, I wouldn't be all repressed and angry about it and join a fraternity. I'd just be gay and go be a gay guy and have fun being a gay guy rather than like, I'm not gay. You know what I mean? Like, why you make some guy blow you and be like, you like this, you weirdo. Like, I wouldn't do that. I would just be gay and be like, oh, I like dudes. I'm going to hang out with dudes. Like, that's what I would do. I wouldn't have to like.
That's why they're always like, man, me and my guys from my frat, those were the years. Those were my best buddies. Well, yeah, because you blew each other.
You guys were.
That really keeps guys close. It does.
Yeah. And then you guys all married, women and moved in the suburbs and then blew dudes at your golf club and there were gym or whatever. Like, I've known so many gay guys that said they hooked up with married men, like suburban married guys. I was like, what? They're like, oh, Graham. All the time. I was like, no way. I was like, this friend of mine who was gay, is a comic, would tell me that. He goes, Graham, I would hook up with these guys all the time. Are you kidding me? He goes, yeah, they're all. I was like, and a lot of them used to be in fraternities and stuff. I'm like, I knew it. So like another reason to just admit you're gay. We wouldn't need fraternities or hazing or Mike Pence. Mike Pence, if he just admitted he was gay, he wouldn't be so repressed.
That's true.
Weird evangelical bullshit.
Yeah. He wouldn't need to do the glory hole thing just to get hard. Yeah. It's true. That's why they call it a glory hole. It's mainly heavily religious people that are there.
Glory be to God. Yeah, there you go. Jam it in there, friend. Jesus is on the other end.
Jesus is on the other. Just picture Jesus on the other side. He came back to earth, and he's had a rough go at it. It was the only job he could find. Employment it's tough to find good employment these days. So.
There's not a lot of carpentry happening. You know what I mean? Like,
well, he cuts the holes in the walls, so. He got paid extra for that,
I mean, vineyards are turning water into wine isn't that big of a deal now because it's like everyone's got a vineyard, so it's not that big of a deal. Everyone's drinking those hard seltzers. Wine's not that big. So anyway, yeah, Rumsfeld. I'm glad he's dead. He can go fuck himself. So that's where we're at with that.
That was the secret.
That was the secret. Rumsfeld is right now in a lake of fire, sucking Hitler's dick for eternity. Good luck, hellfire. So next government secret segment. Beep, beep, beep. What do you got on tap for us, Lee Camp?
Yeah, let's do it. So first of all, we got an update. Is there a noises for an update?
Government secrets update. It's a new sound effect I just spent a lot of money on.
It got very sad trombone there at the end. I don't know. So last week we talked about the Kent State massacre that happened. 4 people killed by National Guardsmen. 4 unarmed students in a group of unarmed students were killed, and many more shot by National Guardsmen in 1970. And so I got an email from Laurel Krauss, And I'm going to read you a little bit of it. Laurel Krauss has done a lot of work to raise attention to what happened that day, what really happened that day, as opposed to the kind of bullshit propaganda that the media has fed us, which is also what we talked about last week. She said, my sister Allison was one of the 4 killed on May 4th, 1970 at Kent State. She was protesting the Vietnam War, the invasion in Cambodia, and the occupation of her college campus. It was noontime on campus, and the campus was open at the moment of the massacre. And here's kind of the update. She goes on to detail some of what happened that day. Much of it we covered last week, but this part we did not. She said, in 2010, I formed the Kent State Truth Tribunal and began working with Project Censored. On the 51st anniversary, which was this year, a couple of months ago, new documents emerged around COINTELPRO, bringing in strangers to Kent State for the massacre. Even more interesting, Ohio Northern University interviewed 12 original Kent State, Ohio National Guardsmen present that day. This amazing study answered key questions we had about what was going on in their heads, because they hadn't spoken for all these years. And after listening to all 12 interviews, we learned it was ugly propaganda, meaning they had been fed ridiculous and ugly propaganda before heading out to this campus with live ammunition. She goes on, there was one guardsman that stood out, J. Ronald Snyder, a.k.a. James Snyder. He stands out because he still works as a security guard at Kent State. Most likely, this is his reward for the dirty tricks he performed for the COINTELPRO project at Kent State. This was also the same guardsman we mentioned last week who lied initially afterwards and said he found a gun and brass knuckles on one of the dead students, and he later admitted that he had just flat out made that up. There was no gun. There were no brass knuckles on the dead student. And he apparently, you'd think these people massacre Kent State students, maybe they wouldn't then get a job there. Maybe they wouldn't be offered to work there. But apparently he is still there, which is really repulsive. And if people want more from more information and about what happened and everything else that's been brought, that's come to light over the past few years, the website is truthtribunal.org that Laurel Krauss has helped create. So truthtribunal.org.
Hey, Kate, can you put that up? And I'll put that up on the screen, truthtribunal.org. Yeah, I mean, this is sort of typically how they operate. Like it's on a much larger scale, obviously. We talked about the JFK assassination, how Lee Harvey Oswald openly said, I'm defecting. I hate America. I'm going to join the Soviet Union. I'm going to go to Russia. He goes to Russia, comes back. Oh, and then he just gets a passport.
Just allowed to come back, get a passport. Yeah.
Nobody investigates him, not arrested. He's not even questioned. Like, oh, that's weird. So this guy lies.
It's almost like they were setting him up for something.
Oh, I don't know what that would be, Lee Camp. Now it sounds like you're being a little bit of a gadfly there, you flibberty gibbet. And then this guy, of course, still works there. God, is that an insult to the people that were killed? Like, what a slap in the face.
What a fuck you. I mean, seriously.
It's unreal. And again, it's the same old pattern of those that are in power are just evil. And here's the thing about those in power. They're scared little punks. They're always afraid they're going to lose their power. So they got to do everything they got to do to, get someone in there and put in this plant and mix it up. Because what if we lose our power? Oh, then things might be better. Because everything that everyone's protesting is like make the world a better place stuff, like end the wars, give people their rights back, give people their land back. And you don't want to do that. So you just keep making things worse and worse. You're a scared little bitch. You hear that, you CIA fucks? You're scared little bitches. What do you think of that? I just called you scared. You're scared little cowards. I'm at the NSA. That's why you work there, because you're little scared cowards. Put your name and face out there. You're so tough. I get death threats.
Dude, this week, we were outside the Department of Justice. There was a protest for Julian Assange. It was also his 50th birthday, and his father and brother were there protests, you know, they gave speeches outside the Department of Justice, and we would see these people walk by. I don't know if they all worked in the Department of Justice, but they worked in some of these government buildings, very well may have been Department of Justice employees. And they walk by with their neckties on, and you could see them look over like, what is this? And then like see the banner or something, and you'd see them like scrunch up their faces or laugh as they go by. And it's like, you are pathetic pieces of shit. You think you're so strong because you are with the fucking empire. It's like, I'm with the empire. You guys are idiots. It's like you're fucking bootlickers, and that makes you cool. You're like a cool kid because of that. Like,
I know, they're scared little followers. They're just like little frat guys they're too scared to admit they're gay. That's what it is. Like, that's just say you're gay. Everyone's cool. You get to just admit you're gay. And you're not, and you can't do it. So just, I don't know. You're scared. Oh, I want to work for the NSA. I'm scared for the Department of Justice. I'm working for freedom. No, you're working for evil, and you're too much of a scared little punk to stand for something. You'd never put your neck on the line for anything. You're just going to do what you're told. That's why you're a scared little punk. That you're paid to monitor.
Don't go outside of the allowable little area that you consider safe. And actually, this is the perfect segue to the next segment. So,
segue. Government secrets.
Graham unknowingly stumbles into an awesome segue.
Segue by accident. Government secrets.
So this is about the people that are saying we need more police and we need more money going to the police, and they need more weaponry and all that shit, right? Speaking of being scared, speaking of the ruling elites being scared, the rich being scared. And there's been this ongoing, I kind of wanted to break apart this lie, this, government lie that's going on right now about this increase in crime. Oh my goodness, there's such a massive increase in crime. And it's because, and you're definitely hearing more of this on Fox News, but it is, you will see an article or a segment here or there on CNN, MSNBC. But, the big perpetrators, the nightly perpetrators is like Fox News and some of these quote unquote conservative outlets. I don't know what the fuck the term conservative means anymore. If those motherfuckers are conservative, are they conserving the environment? Are they conserving the people? What are they conserving? But, so they are saying that there's this massive increase in crime. And why is it? It's because the people defunded the police, right? All these protests for defunding the police, and now the police have been defunded, and now it's just crime everywhere. So, Black Agenda Report, and I actually covered some. It was from Greg Gutfeld, piece of shit on Fox News, but Tucker Carlson's been doing this shit too, and a bunch of other outlets have been saying exactly that. And Black Agenda Report, great outlet, did some coverage of this, and this is from an article there. So first of all, they start off by going. By setting a picture, they go, there were almost 300 reported murders in New York City that year, almost one per day. There were 20,000 reported felony assaults, about 55 per day. More than 12,000 robberies, 35 per day. The year was 2018, and it was the safest year in New York City's recorded history. In a city of over 8 million residents, crime, even in the safest times, will always be there, but also it will always be a headline of these media outlets. So they, even in years, now there have been an uptick in shootings and murders, but I'll get to that in a second. But even in years when there's not, when literally crime is going down, killings are going down, even in those years, you will actually see an increase in mainstream media coverage of murders, of crime, because part of it is just because that's what fucking sells papers. That's what gets clicks. That's what gets eyeballs. Yeah. And part of it is because that justifies this endless and ridiculous spending on the largest police force in the world. If you rank our police force in terms of militaries around the world, it's like 5 or 6. It's the same. It's almost an identical budget as Russia's military.
Yeah.
Not their cops, their military.
Yeah. There's also this is so dumb, and of course typical of the idiots, you know, the Fox wing of the corporate media. They always there's always this glaring omission, like, gee, I wonder if people losing their jobs during a once in 100-year pandemic had anything to do with the crime going up. Gee, I wonder when people are waiting in line for food, if they go, hey, maybe we got to steal now. I wonder if the fact that, 3 million guns were purchased last year, new gun owners, like all these new guns. We've had, LA has had 200 more shootings this time. We had 400 some shootings this time last year and 600 some shootings this time. More people bought guns than last. There was lines, every gun shop in LA, there was a line out the door, and there has been for the last goddamn year. And now just idiots or any moron there. And there was a shooting of a kid 3 weeks ago. Yeah. And the guy just shot into the back seat of a car in a road rage thing on a freeway. Who was the shooter? Was he a criminal? Was he a gangbanger? No.
And legal gun owner. People like to say, well, a gun's just a tool. And it's like, yeah, but if the tool's sitting there next to more people, you're going to have more people using the tool when they're being fucking idiots.
Yes. The guy who did this, no criminal record, bought the gun legally, big Second Amendment guy and all of his social media, and just decided he got mad and shot into the back of a car. No history of mental illness. He wasn't on drugs. He wasn't high. Just got mad and had a gun there and shot into the back of a car and killed like a 4-year-old kid. So what's the solution? The kid should have had a gun?
Whoa, though. Was there a bumper sticker that said, I'm with her? Yeah. Then I could see it. I could.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And so these idiots, these right-wing morons are so stupid in their own dumb, fat-headed way. And they're different than the stupidity of the vote any blue will do morons. And again, fear sells, and the corporate media is designed to keep us divided, distracted, and afraid. And scared always helps spend money. And they never look at stuff like, well, what if defund the police? They always react with that stupid, like, old man, like, oh, so we should just give the cops lollipops and squirt guns then, no, that's not what we're saying.
Well, and just to get off on the gun tangent for 1 second, I am fine with gun ownership. I am fine with people owning whatever, a pistol if they want to. But
I think it's the coward's weapon. And I'm glad I'm losing viewers that are mad when I say that. So take your gun and go fuck yourself. But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Well, no. I'm fine with that too. But I'm not someone who thinks there should be no guns. But here's the thing: if you talk to most Americans, almost everyone, like 99%, there's very few that say no guns, and there's almost none that say like fucking grenade launchers and nuclear bombs and whatever the fuck you want. Meaning the entire discussion is on a sliding scale. What size weapon are we going to allow in this fucking country? And people want to act like it's an all or nothing thing. They take your 100 rounds that fire in 1 second gun, and then they're taking all the guns. If we can't get the clips that have 1 billion bullets in them, then they're taking all your guns. It's like almost everyone I know believes in some sort of middle ground, and yet we're told to make this a black or white issue. Yet I've never met someone who thinks we should have grenade launchers. Or what if which they're very close to doing, what if they invent a laser that you could shoot that fucking goes through like 3 states and just kills everybody in your path? Are you cool with you just walking around with that? Like,
I am.
You're fine with that?
I don't want guns. I want lasers.
I want lasers on sharks that you could carry. You carry the shark around and you fire the laser.
Shoot the laser out of it. I think America's doomed, and it's America's going to divulge into some horrific sort of fractionalized territorial warlord beef, and we're killing each other, and it's going to be mayhem, and Americans will never realize and they're still going, greatest country in the world. Nowhere else. If you watched another country do this, hundreds of shootings every day in each city. I mean, mass shootings every week, cops killing people every day, random shootings, a capital that's overrun by people with guns that have Nazi paraphernalia. If you saw this in any other country, go, that country's done. It's out of its mind. I'm never going there. Like if you're living in another country, I wouldn't visit here. I wouldn't. I mean, I wouldn't feel safe.
I will say this, Graham, that I've talked to some, friends in Australia or Britain. They literally think that we walk outside and we have to duck bullets. Like, because if you look at the media coverage, that's what it sounds like. And it's like, yeah, it is. There are a lot of factors of America that are really fucking shitty right now, and it's leading the way. And these garbage politicians are leading us faster and faster down that path. But it's not like I go to the store and I'm fucking ducking.
No, but there's been a shooting. I mean, gun violence will affect everybody's daily life in one way, or has in one way or another. If it hasn't, it will in America. That's just it's going to happen. I mean, there's just no way, with more fear, more poverty, more people losing their jobs, and more gun sales. There's just no way. There's just no way it's not going to.
All you need to protect from a gun is the flag, man. You just hold up that flag. USA.
Yeah, there was a shooting in Santa Monica at the Santa Monica College, a young male, white male in his 20s. This is going to sound shocking. History of mental illness and easy access to guns. Went to Santa Monica College and shot it up, killed a bunch of people, and then he died. And then the next day in my yoga class, a half mile from the shooting, after class, nobody said, I'm getting a gun. I'm protecting my. Everyone prayed for world peace and said namaste. But, that's how we dealt with it. No, but I don't live in fear. I hope I get killed by a gun nut so that I can wait for that guy and skull fuck him for eternity in hell.
Sentences I didn't think I was going to hear on this episode.
Yeah. I think I'm doubling down on my disdain for gun owners now. I'm done playing and I hope it pisses people off. So I always tell the gun owners, if you don't like what I'm saying, put the gun in your mouth and pull the trigger. That's what George Harrison said. If every gun owner killed themselves, then the world would be a better place. So it's a cowardly, scared weapon. And go fuck off. Go fuck you. Fuck your hunting. Fuck your soldiers. Fuck your militia. Go fuck off. But anyway,
as long as you include cops in that analysis.
No, cops too. They can go fuck themselves. Yeah, they can all go fuck them all. They can all go fuck themselves. Wow. Anyway, let's finish this segment.
Oh man, I don't know if you have it in you to finish this article, but so yes, they continue to talk about how crime is rising, and as you mentioned, this is a year when we're climbing out of a pandemic. We saw mass economic and social fallout. There's so many people that are more insecure in their lives than ever before in terms of where their food's coming from, how they're going to pay their rent. And so a lot of those things, all those things contribute to crime, to desperation. And so if you would have an actual genuine segment from Fox News or these other outlets, then they would discuss all of those things. But instead, they just, they're bootlickers and they just want Papa Police to protect, the rich and their valuables. So they just keep saying it's because we don't have enough police. There's not enough money pumped into them. This article talks about conservative tabloids, the Post and the New York Daily News have for years tried to stir fear of and they're talking about New York, but it's happened in many cities, of a city overrun by crime. Fairness and Accuracy in Reporting has done coverage of this. They were apocalyptic in their predictions of the city when stop and frisk was stopped, which, of course, it was one of the most racist police procedures you could have. It was literally just New York Police Department riding around, grabbing mostly black males, but black, Hispanic, some women, right, but any people of color, grabbing them and just trying to find any reason in the world to arrest them. Whether they have a half a joint, whether they were loitering, whether they have an alcoholic beverage on them, just anything to put them in the system. And so there's also been some criticism that there's been some reduction of cash bail, which is the most fucking draconian bullshit. We are one of like 2 or 3 countries that even has cash bail. And we have reduced it in some cities, in some states, which is the way it should fucking be. And the right-wing media is saying, oh, well, that's the reason there's an increase in crime, because you're getting rid of cash bail. Data, however, doesn't back the assertion that bail reform has led to crime increases. The Center for Court Innovation found no evidence to support the claim that bail reform was behind a spike in gun violence.
It's so, I can't, it, like, this country's so insane. Like, I'm living in an insane asylum, living in this country. Listen to people, we got rid of cash bail, that's why the crime went up. Like, it's like, I don't even know how to, you can't even argue or debate with these people because they're just nuts.
Have you ever tried to watch an episode of like Greg Gutfeld or Tucker Carlson or something?
Oh, Gutfeld, well, he's not funny. He thinks he's a comic for starters, so he's unfunny.
No, he's painfully unfunny, but it's the points he's making within his jokes, just like I have points within my jokes. Sure. Even if you wanted to ignore the not funny thing, it's like he's making utterly false points, just utter bullshit. And it's the same with Tucker Carlson. It's like they're making up. Gutfeld's segment that I made fun of a couple weeks ago on Redacted Tonight was like, he was saying, oh yeah, there's an uptick in crime because prisoners were released during the pandemic, and then they run out and kill bodega owners. And it's like, you have no evidence that ever happened. Furthermore, the prisoners that were released during the pandemic because they were worried the pandemic would sweep to the prisons, which it did. Those ones that were released were all nonviolent criminals. Like, there was no one that was like, yeah, look, the worst criminals that killed 12 children, just put them out on the streets.
Yeah, it's just that dumb, scared white, the criminals are coming, the blacks are coming, move to the suburbs. It's just all that same stupid shit. I mean, I watch Fox News once in a blue moon just to see like how crazy are they today. And, you know, CNN and MSNBC, you got to kind of dig through the bullshit a little more. And Fox just says the dumbest. I mean, they're what's their average age of that show? Like 78 or something like that. Like, who's watching that show? Is anyone watching that show that isn't an old, dumb white person? I mean,
yeah, their average age is over 66, I think. And then, but even for the other outlets, MSNBC, it's like Fox News. I mean, and CNN, it's over 50.
Oh, I think they're all in the high 60s. I mean, I think they're like 67. And I think Fox is in the set. I mean, like, no, who's watching any of this crap? No one's watching this. Like, people are getting there. So who cares what these idiots say? And hopefully they'll choke to death on their own vomit. If hopefully they vomit for something.
I love that analysis. I hope you choke on your own vomit. And then you think, oh God, what if he doesn't vomit? Well, I also hope you vomit for a reason.
We got to hope for the vomiting first. I mean, we can't put the cart before the horse.
Yeah, no, you got to listen. If you're going to hope someone chokes on their vomit, you got to really analyze it and get to the root of how you're going to make that happen. That's what was in Machiavelli's The Prince. You know, if you're going to tell someone to choke on their vomit, you have to then put forward an idea for how that's going to happen.
Well, you have to have a vomit pre-plan.
Right.
I mean, that's the foundation of your choke on the vomit plan is you need to first, how are they going to vomit? Are they going to get sick? Are they going to have the flu? Are you going to show up with an epicac? Anytime I can use the word epicac.
Yeah, I haven't heard that in a while. My go-to is to just describe Donald Trump's naked body in detail. Yeah.
That is an epicac. There's no word like the word epicac.
It almost makes you choke saying it.
It is. The word epicac is an epicac. I mean, saying the word makes me want to. Yeah, it's like just saying the word epicac. Like I can't finish the word.
Well, the original version of it, people had trouble spelling. It was epic.
They didn't know how to spell that out, so they just put, well, let's just make it cac.
It was a lot of G's, and and when they would put it on those signs where you put the letters up on like a fast food sign, they would run out of G's. So.
Yeah. So Epicac.
So real quick here.
That should be one of our merch items, by the way, as a government secrets Epicac.
So would it be like a vomit bucket we'd sell?
Well, it would be here's how you do. This is how you make money, Lee. You get a bucket, the government secrets vomit bucket, and then a separate
watching Fox News.
While watching Fox News, and then with a separate Epicac that makes you.
Yeah.
You can buy them separately. If maybe you already have your own bucket, but then we sell them as a vomit gift pack.
Vomit gift pack. Another series of words I didn't think I was going to hear in this episode. Now, the last episode, sure, but this one, I had no idea.
Well, this is what happens when you do episode 47 twice.
So, yeah, Fox News claimed the crime surge was due to defunding the police, but and they were talking specifically about New York City to some degree, or other cities that where defund the police was a slogan. But here's the thing: almost none of those cities have defunded the police, so it's fucking horseshit on every level. New York did reshuffle some of their school police spending. However, the much hyped decrease in police budget, which was $1 billion annually, was found by an independent budget watchdog to be only about a third of that. Any of the so-called cuts wouldn't figure into the policing puzzle anyway, because increases in shootings began early last summer before the defunded budget, quote unquote, would have even been felt in the police department. So it's all utter horseshit. Let's see. And also there's the point that the New York City Police Department is by far and away the largest, most expensive, most, highest budgeted police force in the world, in the fucking world. So for anybody who's like crime increased because of the police budget, you're like, this is the most expensive and largest police department in the world, even after that third of $1 billion got reshuffled. So if anything, you could be like, why is there so much crime in New York City? Because there's so many fucking cops.
Yeah. And bullshit laws, like stop all that stuff that just targets mainly poor people of color. I mean, that's what it does. I mean, like if the cops were really doing their jobs, there should be guys on Wall Street being arrested on a daily. I mean, if you really want to stop the real crime in this country, go fucking put some of these hedge fund assholes in an orange jumpsuit and perp walk them down to Police One Station. You know what I'm saying? I'm down with that plan, but no, you're just, and it's the same thing. And like I've talked about this in Los Angeles, the LAPD gets 54% of the city's operating budget. We have the homeless problem keeps getting worse. It is so bad. And it is the most stark reality of have and have nots. Like downtown LA, you've got the Staples Center and all these fancy hotels and condos, and then Skid Row, which is fucking hell on earth, man. I mean, people get shot, murdered, trafficked out of there, and the cops kind of just like, well, they just make it the purge. I mean, it's just like insane. And then, but gee, I wonder if we took some of and the minute these guys hear defund, the conservatives slip out. What if we took some of that money? Because most cops will tell you they don't want to deal with every day they got to deal with the homeless and the craziness. What if we actually gave people, put them in homes? We've talked about the Housing First program, put them in homes, got them drug treatment, mental illness treatment, all that stuff, got them back on the streets. They had an 80% success rate in Finland. What if we took some of that rather than giving cops more up-armored vehicles to go terrorize working class people? I mean, the day the cops put their boot on the neck of a billionaire and kill that billionaire, then I'll change my tune. Then I'll be like more on board with the cops. But I'm not seeing them do that. Like Bloomberg ties to Epstein. Why is that guy still walking the streets? Oh, but your channel gets a copyright strike for just pointing out this factual stuff. So they can go fuck off. They can suck it. Those Guthrie, unfunny little pimp. I'd knock that cocksucker out with my vegetarian fists. What a bitch.
Yeah, and you know, I brought this up before, but like 95 to 99% of police don't need to exist. It should be all that they do should be done by other types of jobs. We should create, and we've talked about this before, we should create mental health squads that you could call and say there's somebody having mental health problems, and they come and they don't have guns and they just fucking go and help the person. You could have police traffic people. If the speed limit is something that's very important to you, then you fucking have people pull people over and give them tickets for their speed limit, but those people don't have guns because that makes no sense. Why do you need a military presence to tell someone that their brake light is out? So, and you can go down the list. 99% of what police do has nothing to do with like catching murderers and all that kind of stuff. So you could get rid of 99% of police and still have your people ready to deal with a terror attack or ready to deal with a maniac with a gun. You could still have some sort of people for that. But the reason this is not done, what I'm talking about, is because the true reason for our police department is they are the fist of the fascist state. They are the ones protecting the property and the status quo that is ruled by the rich. That they are the ones making sure everyone continues to operate in a very confined space of what is allowable. And the moment you get outside of that, even to the level of trying to stop a pipeline or doing some sort of protest, then these people are used to crack down, crush, and arrest those groups.
Yeah. And I have no problem continuing funding investigators, detectives that do actual police work, finding out a murderer, breaking up a sex trafficking ring. That's fine. But like you say, the majority of the money is spent for, you know, in LA, they'd be like, this is dispersed. This is an unlawful assembly. No, it's not. The Constitution says that it's not. We have the right to protest. And then they just came in, and just about every protest, everybody said the same thing. It was fine until the cop showed up. When the cop showed up, it got violent. So it's like this 5 to 10% of police work that's actually like good police work, investigators. A friend of mine, I had him on the show. He was a child crimes investigator. That's an important job. He caught sex traffickers and pedophiles. I mean, that was his job. And you know, hats off to him for doing that. And you need investigators for that kind of stuff. But we don't need people kicking homeless people out and night-sticking protesters that just want to be treated with humanity. Or we don't need, I mean, like, spend the money to give people jobs and healthcare and education and all this stuff. And how many crimes, the crime rate would just go down just by doing that. And we've been talking about this for 40, 50 years, and nobody wants to listen. So these right-wing cocksuckers just deserve, I mean, I hope there's fucking riots then. They love the Second Amendment. Okay, I'll go the other way then. Everybody get a gun, especially if you're a person of color. Get a gun and defend yourself. Now let's see where they stand. Let's get a gun. Everyone get a gun. The black community, get a gun. Native American, absolutely get a gun. Let's get that. Let's arm all the
that was when even Ronald Reagan started rethinking the open carry. They were all for open carry until the Black Panthers started open carrying. And then even Reagan was like, never mind about that.
Yeah. That's what I always say. Like, okay, you want your guns? You know what? You're right. Everybody should own a gun. Everybody. And then everyone gets to defend themselves. And if you come on their property, whether you're a cop or a soldier or whatever, they get the right to defend themselves. Let's just play that game. Let's just go like that. Does everyone want to do that? Oh, they don't. Okay. Let's get Black Lives Matter heavily armed and then go to a Capitol building, just like they did, just like the white nationalists have done, and the Trumpers, and the people who just wanted their masks. They wanted to get a haircut in Michigan. Let's let that happen. Why not? No? Oh, okay. Next time they want to put a pipeline across your sovereign Native American land, show up with a bunch of fucking guns and tanks and rocket launchers, and then we can just settle the pipeline that way. No?
I mean, I am glad we have the right to defend our haircuts with guns. Listen, if you don't have a right to a haircut, what do you have a right to?
Yeah, I know. I mean, London was bombed every day by the Nazis during World War II for 3 years, and this country couldn't go 3 months before it lost his shit because it couldn't get a haircut. So yeah, America is really tough. the person who cuts my hair has been sick for the last week, so my hair is getting a little long. I'm gonna go nuts. That's why I'm so angry today. I just haven't had a haircut, so I'm just gonna lose
I
it.
can tell. It's getting. I mean, what are you, a fucking hippie?
I am. I'm a godless hippie, and that's what's making me so angry. So yeah, I guess I just flip flop. You changed my mind. Everybody get a gun and an automatic weapon and a rocket launcher. I should be able to have a rocket launcher and an up-armored vehicle.
Throwing star.
And a shark that shoots lasers.
Throwing stars are kind of poetic because you can be like, well, I just killed you. Like, you're bleeding out. You're going to die, but it was with a star.
I study martial arts, and martial arts, I love martial art weapons because it's like you put your body at risk. Here's the thing. That's why I say the gun's a coward's weapon, because as a martial artist, I know if even the toughest guy, the most UFC champion, title belt, 15 black belts, that guy knows that if I get into a physical confrontation, I'm still putting my body at risk. Like if I were to beat the snot out of Tucker and this Gov't idiot, which I could kick their asses while texting, because they're candy asses, but I still know that I potentially could like hurt myself. I could break my hand or something. You could break it, right? You know that you have to know that. Not with a gun. Pew, 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 pew. Oh, somebody's dead. I'm angry in traffic. There's a kid. I just did that. I just did this move. And then people are dead.
I know. It's like I had a friend in college who was like he was tiny. He was like 5'4", but he was a weightlifter. So he had like biceps the size of his head. But anyway, he was about to somehow he ended up about to be in a fight with like a 6'4" guy. And he said to him, when the guy's getting ready to punch him, and he said to him, he's like, look, we can do this and you're going to win, but you're going to lose a few teeth. And the guy backed off.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. And that's half a fight. That's like, I've learned that just in martial arts, like guys that want to like bigger than me. And I just stand my ground and get in a defensive position and go, okay, you might win, but I'm going to land something. I'm going to land a few. I'm going to touch you with my fists and feet. That's going to happen. So if you're ready for that, and then everybody goes, oh, but when you have a gun, you can just bang, bang, and people are dead. So everybody either train themselves like martial artists, and we walk around like the samurai era of ancient feudal Japan, which I'm totally on board with that. I've studied the samurai sword, and victory comes with the sword still in the scabbard. Because again, they knew if I draw my sword, one or both of us could die. So they know that people weren't just getting into fights all the time, or everybody's got guns and fucking rocket launchers and 60 cal machine guns, not a handgun. Everyone gets armed to the teeth. Everyone gets as much as the military and the cops get. Pick one.
Everyone gets their own drone with missiles. Armed drone.
Yes. Anyone can call in an airstrike.
Speaking of coward's weapon, how's that? You got pilots that are literally in bases in Tampa and Las Vegas dropping bombs on people thousands of miles away that they see on a grainy video, and that's how they decided to drop the bomb on them. Was in the grainy video they go, well, he's walking like someone we're pretty sure that he's walking like the guy we want to hit, and this was the stuff that Daniel Hale revealed to us, and now he's being sentenced like next week for violating the Espionage Act. Might spend 10 years or whatever in prison.
Yeah. And people are like, well, what if I like to hunt? Okay, fair enough. Hear about this one. You want to go get some deer, right? 12-point buck.
You got to choke them out.
You got to choke them out. We'll give you a knife. They got 12 sharp. You get a knife. You win, you get venison that night. You lose, score one from Mother Nature. How about that one? No?
I like it.
So if I run for Congress, that's going to be my platform. Everybody gets a rocket launcher.
Everyone gets a rocket launcher and like the deer piss you can put on yourself so you smell like them. You get the piss of whoever your enemy is. So if you dislike your neighbor, you get his piss to sprinkle on yourself.
A rocket launcher and deer piss in every pot. That's going to be my campaign slogan.
I think we did it, man.
I think we did.
I don't know what we did, but I think we did it.
This is the best podcast on the internet. Episode 47 lives on forever.
This is what happens to Graham when you don't give him enough slides to occupy himself with. You got to give him the slides, or without visual slides, it just all breaks down.
I can't handle this. Yeah, without visual slides, it breaks down. Well, we've got Ron Placone and I have tour dates. If you go to grahamelwood.com, and one of the dates we're going to do is in New York City, October 11th. The 13th, we're in DC, and the 12th, Lee Camp and I are trying to find a venue to do Government Secrets in New York City. That's what we're working on.
If anyone knows a good, I mean, we found one we might use in Manhattan, but if anybody knows a good Brooklyn venue, let us know. That would be cool. You can email me, leecampmail, MAIL @gmail.com.
Yeah. And also there's a weekend in LA where Ron's got to go to like a wedding or something. I think it's the weekend of the 17th. If I can get a venue in LA, would you want to come out and do a Government Secrets in Los Angeles?
Maybe.
Oh, snap. Gov't live in LA. How about it?
It's a possibility. It's definitely a possibility. There's like a week I'm gone in August though. This is, again, we're getting to that point where it could be a phone call.
Hey, what kind of laundry detergent do you use? I mean, do you use what's your best? Do you use the sheets, or you just use fabric softener?
Listen, I've been having a dryer sheet issue. That, by the way, bonus government secret dryer sheet cover up. For all of you vegans out there, on most dryer sheets, there is animal fat. So you're covering your clothing with animal fat.
I get the 7th generation ones that are like compostable or whatever, but that is horrifying. Why would they do that?
Well, I don't know about 7th generation. but the ones most people use, like, what's Snuggles? What's his fucking name? The little bear?
Snuggles the bear.
Yeah, Snuggles. That kind of shit. Like most of the main name brand ones, probably not the like 7th generation.
I like how you said, what's the name of the Snuggles? His name is Snuggles. It's not like his name is like Mike Snuggles or something like that. it's Snuggles.
Danny Snuggles.
Danny's his brother.
That guy. Bartholomew Snugglepuss. Is that his name? Him. Bart. I'm going to call him Bart.
Jimmy Snuggles? What's his name? Jimmy.
Hold on. You're telling me after all this time that his last name's not Snuggles?
I think he's like Cher. He just has one name. Snuggles. Or Prince.
Shit, man. All this is my face red. All this time I've been calling him Mr. or Mr. Snuggles Esquire or Your Lordship Snuggles. I thought
Captain Snuggles.
Captain. I thought it was his last name. God damn it. And he never corrected me.
What the fuck? Oh man, that's so cool. You get to hang out with Danny Snuggles.
So people have been asking about how to donate. Did we set that up?
Of course not. There's no way, right?
Of course not. No, we fucking didn't. Jesus. Why would you even say that?
Lee, both of us barely read anything leading into this episode today. Like, come on. You really?
But we have created Government Secrets cock rings at Cafe Press. So there is, for some odd reason, we got our shit together for that. You can get the cock rings now. It benefits the show.
And it's coming, and we are coming out with hashtag pew pew strap on dildos. That's coming for sure.
Pew pew.
Government Secrets cock rings. And we are gonna have autographed photos of Mitch Snuggles that he's gonna show up at our show. He might do a drop in. He might open up for us on these road shows. Snuggles.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Lee and I talk about we want to have a donate button, and Lee talked to me. We're gonna do that library thing or whatever that I keep. I don't know the name of it. What's it called?
Libera Pay. Grant's been working for 3 weeks on nailing down the name of the website. If he can figure that out,
we're gonna do that Lisbon Pay thing coming up, and so it doesn't take long to set up. I understood, but there's no way.
But the problem was, whenever Grant would think of it, he got sleepy. So
I got so sleepy, or I'd get some crazy email from someone I'd have to block or something like that. So we will have a way for you to donate at some point in the future. And we appreciate, honestly, in all seriousness, we appreciate that many of you are like, hey, how do we support the show? We really want to support it, and we want to give you a way to support it. But we're going to set up this Libya Pay thing, so we'll get that squared up. And then, but hopefully we might have some, if we can get these tour dates, we'll announce those. And then you can get an autographed cock ring.
I will not autograph if it's on you at the time. One of my rules. It's one of my rules.
I will if it's part of your fraternity hazing. Like, I'll help support you in that decision if that's what you're doing, because I don't want to judge your lifestyle choices. Someone's asking if the cock rings have clitoral stimulation on them. Let's not get into the fine points of the merch. Let's get this website set up first.
We don't give away all our secrets.
Just let me get the website set up first. Just let me get the lemonade.com set up, and we'll get that figured up.
I think Beyonce already has that.
All right, so Lee, where can people follow you on this is a bonus sized episode. We've talked a lot.
It really is, because we can't get our shit together. I'm at leecamp.com. The new Redacted Tonight comes out tonight, so that'll be up at leecamp.com soon. Also, youtube.com/moment of clarity. On Twitter, I'm at leecamp. And that's where you can follow me. Sweet. Go to grantmelwood.com for the tour dates, the political vigilante merchandise, and support my show. I'm in the 6th month of being demonetized, so thanks to YouTube. Which I wonder if that has anything to do with why I'm so angry. So go to rockfin.com and support what I do. Thank you so much. And next week we will have episode 47C. We're just going to we're going to sign letters to them now. Yes. And like and share and give us positive reviews, however you consume the show, whatever platform, Spotify, if you're just listening to the audio, Spotify, iTunes, give it a good review, 5 stars, whatever, like it, share it, subscribe it, do all that stuff, because all that stuff helps. And the deep state doesn't want us. That's why Lee's gotten a copyright strike. I've gotten one. And that's what's going on. So thanks, man. I will see you next week. You got it, buddy. Have a great weekend. Let me know what happens with the animal-based laundry sheets. Will do. So are you just throwing like a pork chop into your dryer? Is that what you're doing, basically? Yeah, I've replaced them with pork chops. Yeah, I have. Listen, as a vegetarian, I was a little pissed to find out I was covering all my clothes with animal fat. God, that's disgusting. What a bunch of savages. Like the people I know, like if you're going to do something fucking gross like that, at least say on the box, hey, this is plastered in animals we've killed. Like, what a bunch of psycho murderers. That's like Jeffrey Dahmer's making fucking dryer sheets. Like, what is... anyway. I mean, the shit we do to animals is unbelievable. Like, I can guarantee you at no point were 2 sheep like chatting with each other and they were like, hey, after we die, you don't think they like turn part of us into something they put on their dicks, right? That's not a thing, right? But no, sure enough, people do. No, they do say that. I watched Animal Farm when I was in high school. They showed that to us or whatever. Yeah, it was an extended scene about that. Yeah. God damn it. All right, dude.
Well, have a good weekend and we'll talk soon.
Later, Matt.